Aloha friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about a novella named And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. That's quite a mouthful of a title, isn't it? I dare you to say it quickly 5 times. Now, don't ask me about the title. Yes, it does remind me of the ridiculously long titles of Karan Johar's movies like Kabhi Kushi Kabhi Gum, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, etc. But trust me, that's where the similarities between the vacuous Karan Johar movies and this masterpiece ends. And Every Morning the Home Gets Longer and Longer is a contemporary fictional novella by Fredrik Backman, who's an acclaimed Swedish author. So maybe this longish title sounds better in Swedish than in English, yeah? First of all, this book is a novella. It's pretty short, and that honestly was one of the reasons I picked this book up last December. I wanted a short book to fulfill my reading goals end of last year, and this looked like a perfect fit. Little did I know that this will become one of my absolute favorites of the year. This novella broke my heart into pieces and lovingly stitched it back. I have bookmarked entire pages in this book. Fredrik Backman's writing style is, as usual, superlative. The only other book I have read from him is the non-fiction Things My Son Needs to Know About the World, the review of which I have given in the description box down below. On a side note, what's with Fredrik Backman and his love for long titles? Anyway, let's move on with the review of this novella, shall we? Please note that in this review, I'll be referring to quite a few quotes from this book. Hence, for variety's sake, I managed to convince my twin son, Arya, to read some of those quotes for me. So if you hear an occasional different voice, that's him. I would be glad to know from you guys if you like the style of narration or not. This novella, by the way, is about the relationship between a grandson and his grandfather, who's rapidly losing his memories. It's also a look into the evolution of a father and son's relationship. It's not explicitly mentioned what is ailing the grandfather. I assumed it must have been Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. Plot-wise, there's nothing much to say. It's a simple story where the grandfather's mental health is deteriorating and he is grappling with a myriad of emotions regarding this inevitability. First is the intense fear about losing his most important memories, especially the memories of his late wife. Second is the worry about how he can help his young, impressionable grandson understand his condition without losing hope. Third is the constant confusion owing to his mental health and his fragile relationship with his own son. There are nuances to the storytelling that can be understood only if you read it. The book is only 97 pages, but it packs a solid punch in every page. Few quotes from this book will stay with me for a very long time. I'll start with a quote from the author's note.
One of my idols said, "The worst part about growing old is that I don't get any ideas anymore." Those words have never quite left me since I first heard them, because this would be my greatest fear: imagination, giving up before the body does. I guess I am not alone in this. Humans are a strange breed, in the way our fear of getting old seems to be even greater than our fear of dying. This is a story about memories and about letting go.
Now tell me, didn't that brilliant start hook you right away? It did for me. And once I began the novella, I couldn't put it down till I finished it. There are a few perspectives in this book. One is obviously the grandfather's, where he ruminates to himself or talks to his dead wife. Another is the little grandson's, but mostly it's the conversations between the grandpa and his grandson. There is a pertinent question the grandpa asks his wife in his mind that sets the tone for this entire book.
What do I say to Noah? How do I explain that I'm going to be leaving him even before I die?
Because he knows that losing his memories is a kind of death that's perhaps more difficult to explain than an actual death. There are a few conversations between them throughout this book that addresses this topic again and again.
"What's on those pieces of paper?" the boy asks. "Those are all my ideas," Grandpa replies. "They are blowing away." They've been doing that for a long time.
Gosh, could he have explained the devastation caused by memory loss any better? Another conversation between them that broke my heart.
Is your brain ill? Who told you that? Dad. Grandpa exhales through his nose, nods. We don't know really. We know so little about how the brain works. It's like a fading star right now. Do you remember what I taught you about that? When a star fades, it takes a long time for us to realize, as long as it takes for the last of its light to reach Earth. When a brain fades, it takes a long time for the body to realize. The human body has a tremendous work ethic. It's a mathematical masterpiece. It'll keep working until the very last light.
This is a recurring theme in this book. Understanding mental health issues doesn't come easy. Even adults struggle to come to terms with it. What then can we say about kids? How to sensitize them about the day-to-day struggles associated with a debilitating mental illness? The novella also covers the enigma that kids are. These tiny humans who can't fend for themselves, but who sometimes hit us with such insights that we reel from the sheer force of it. For example, Noah, the grandson, has the simple distinction between his dead grandmother and his ailing grandfather.
Her body stopped working before her brain did. For Grandpa, it's the opposite.
Forgive me while I get my kerchief. I choke up every time I read this. How can kids be so brilliant while being, well, kids? There are also some incredible conversations between the grandpa and grandma that will rip your heart out. Like this poignant conversation between them where grandpa bemoans the fact that their son, Ted, is angry at him.
Ted is so angry at me, love, Grandpa says. He's not angry at you. He's angry at the universe. He's angry because your enemy isn't something he can fight.
This statement succinctly puts forth the frustrations of a child who can't bear to see his parents' steady decline into an unknown blankness. How can he bring him back? What can he do to help his father? It's an unenviable position to see your loved one suffer and not being able to do anything to stop it. Also, the grandma of Grandpa's memories is my favorite character. She's smart, funny, and wise. The way she communicates with her husband is simply out of this world. Sample this. Quote, unquote. You were a busy man, she whispers, regret filling every word because she knows she bears the same guilt. And now, Ted is a busy man, he says. But the universe gave you both to Noah. He's the bridge between you. That's why we get the chance to spoil our grandchildren, because by doing that, we are apologizing to our children, quote unquote. Boy, that was deep and so true. Grandparents and their grandchildren share something that none of us can understand till we are part of that equation. And every morning, The Way Home Gets Longer and Longer is a title that makes absolute sense once you finish the book. This book is like a roller coaster ride. It's an experience. You must read it to understand it. I cannot explain the emotions this book evoked within me. It's one of those rare books that everybody with a beating heart must give a chance to. So, as you might have guessed by now, I gave this book an uncontested 5 stars. Initially, I marked this book to be an invest grade book, that is, a book worth buying and adding to your collection. But now that I think about it, maybe this is an heirloom grade book, a book worth treasuring and passing on as a heirloom. Because wouldn't we want our younger generation to read and savor this? So, those were my thoughts on the novella. And every morning, The Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Fredrik Backman. I agree, it was more of a gush than a review. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed this talk. If you like to hear more about books, their reviews, and occasional summaries, then please don't forget to like my videos and to subscribe to this channel. Looking forward to share more of my bookish thoughts with you. Let's keep the bookish conversation going. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. Om Shanti.